Hey everybody, Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for tuning in. Any of the paint or supplies that I use for any of the crafts, I don't quite know what crafts I'm doing, so you can check it out though, queenbeecreationshome.com, and we've got home decor and all those kinds of things. What I was thinking is that sometimes, maybe for your vignettes or for your booths, you want to have some non-traditional Christmas trees. So things that are a little bit different than people feel like they could get from the dollar store. They're a little bit unique. They're a little bit, well, left of center. I mean, whatever it happens to be. So one of the things that I've got here is just a stick that I cut from the backyard here at the shop. Well, okay. It was a dead stick that I cut down, and I just stuck it in an old pot. So I put in some foam where it was missing, some hot glue. It's sticking upright. Now, one of the things that I had got from the dollar store during the summer was this kind of wooden mat. I don't know what you use it for. It was in with all the plant stuff. Is it like a border? I don't know. I just thought, oh, that's a mess of sticks all cut to the same length. I'm sure I can do something with that. So that's what I bought. That's the reason I bought it. And here's an idea. So what I did was I took a bunch of them out, and these just pull out. Don't cut them or anything. You can just pull these sticks right out of the metal, right? Like just twist them and they just come right out. So you don't have to worry about cutting the wire or having tin snips or anything. They just pull out. And so I did a big gather. So you can see here how many, and I just took my only elastic in the shop and I wrapped around the top. And I then took a square of foam, of the flower foam, and I stuck it up there to try and separate them. And now I just think I need another piece up there. Do I have more just already cut? No, I need a chunk. Okay, so let me get another chunk glued up in there. And then let me add more glue. I mean, I'm ultimately going to try and stick my stick up into there, but I just think the glue will maybe hold it a little bit more. Okay. That becomes my tree. Now, what I want to do is, I mean, it's not done. You got all these fat ends and things. So what I want to do is maybe turn it in a direction that makes sense for the curve of the branch. Okay, guys, I am doing these for the first time, so I don't guarantee that I'm even going to love all of them. So, oh, ow. It's just a little tilty, so I'm just looking to stick it with other stuff so it's not tilty anymore. Okay, so now that I'm gonna, it's dropping glue from up top down below, which is how I got with the heat there. So now I have to look around and see what I think will work with that. So we're gonna cover up the elastic for sure. And let me go look and see what we're gonna do to zhuzh this up. But it falls in the category of an interesting novel tree. Okay. So the first step before I even try and do anything else is I need to cover up that elastic. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on this jute rope and let it harden. And then I'm going to wrap it around and glue it in place every so often, just so that I cover up that elastic band. Okay, that's covered. Now, the next thing that I want to do, I anticipate putting like some picks in here, and I'm debating whether I'm doing a pine cone and some greenery underneath it. I kind of like having it going up, and then it gets rid of that piece. So the first stage though is I think that I just want to put some green moss down all over so that this is all covered, and then I can stick other greenery in, and then I don't have to worry about any of this other ugly stuff showing through. Okay, so let me get the moss all in, and then we'll go from there. All right, so you can see this is where we're at with our tree so far. You can see that I have glued a pine cone onto the top. It's just kind of a nice topper. What I'm looking at doing now is cutting a little bit of some greenery, and I just want to put it around the base. So I'll show you what it looks like before I get the glue gun out. So just looking to add, that's got to go in a little further, but just a little touch of green around the top and nothing else. So that's it for the crown. What I'm looking at doing for the base is, again, taking a little bit of, just a couple of pieces of some pine needles and just putting those in. And I think what I'm going to do is just glue a couple of little pine cones, and I'll probably just do this 3 or 4 times around the base so that it's not overcrowded. It's just kind of, you know, nice and simplistic with a bunch of the pine cones in the base, and then we'll be done. The only thing that I'm debating is, because I'm going just all the green and the naturals, I think I'm going to leave it. But you could do like a gold ribbon here, red ribbon up here, something if you wanted to add a touch of color to it. And that's really going to be driven by what you decide to put around the base as well. But I'm gonna get that one glued, and I'll certainly have it finished to show you when we wrap this up. The other one I wanted to show you was, I had been gifted these weird cones. They're like pods. I don't know if they're a seed pod, flower pod. I'm assuming some kind of a seed pod for some kind of plant. I don't know what kind of plant these are, but I think that they're super cool. So what I am looking at doing is, I drilled a hole in a base, just a little wood slice base from the dollar store. I did a couple, I'm just seeing which one it would sit in better. My table's uneven, so it's hard to tell. Okay, but all I'm gonna do is stick some glue in here. Okay, I will when it's heated up. You need to plug in your glue gun. Oh my goodness. So all I'm gonna do is stick some glue in there and work it so it's level. And then when it's dry, I'll come back for the next step on this. So I just want to have it nice and level, have it dried off. The other, I'm just thinking I'm gonna leave them like this. They already have like a bit of a red and gold tint to it. I'm just going to lightly whitewash them. So once I get this glued in, I will be back and we will move on with those. and then I'll show you the next tree. It's kind of fun. Now that these guys are dry, what I'm looking to do, and where is the fan brush? Here we go. So I have white linen paint by DIY in the Cottage Colors, which is a one-step paint. So I just want to add a little bit of white to these. So I'm going to kind of dry brush it. I'm just kind of offloading my paint. And I just want to loosely flick it up. So we're just lightly brightening these a little bit. Just to make them look a little bit fresher, make it look like, you know, a little bit of snow, bring them into the festive season a little bit. And then you could be done with that, or you could take, you know, like a little berry and top it on top if you wanted a little bit of bling, or you know, some little picks or whatever you want. So again, you could leave it as is. I think I might leave them as is, actually. But they just become an element that's then part of kind of a Christmas vignette. If you've got a bunch of different trees and, you know, pine cones and baubles and all that sort of thing, it just adds, well, these ones definitely add a little kind of textural touch. So I have a number of those, which quite honestly, I'm showing you different ideas for kind of pulling together trees, but I've got a couple of other projects that we're going to be doing together, and I will probably be pulling these babies out at that stage to use, and whichever ones I don't use in any of those projects, they're going to go into some of the little Christmas decorations in my home. So we have the little pot that I have just painted white, so no magic to that, but I have a giant pine cone, and we are going to merge the two together. So if this is hot, then the easiest way is to be able to get the glue on the rim of the pot rather than trying to guess where it might go and touch down on the actual pine cone. Let me try and, no, that's not centered. That's better. Look, I mean, that's a cute little tree all on its own. This one, I'm also going to touch up, because I've got the white base, I'm just going to use a little bit of this also on those little tips, just so it ties it in to the base. Okay, so that's not a lot, but you can see already that that just kind of merges in. And I'm looking to do this guy very simply, just in kind of groupings of a little bit of red. So we've got the basic little berries and just pulling them off, and we're just going to stick them just on the tips of some of those, just every so often, just to have a little spot of red here and there. Okay, I'm going to carry on with those, but what I also did was I took a grouping of 3 and I just scrunched them down so that I can get them to sit into the top. So we've got a little topper, and then I just need to pull off a couple more of these guys and add them in too. And there we go. Just a nice, cute little tree that adds texture, sitting up on a shelf on top of some stacked books. Nice little decor item. Okay, next up, I have these weird, old, grungy looking seed pods that were in an old thrifted arrangement. I wanted the pot and I wanted some of the other little pieces that were in it. And I kind of saved these. So, we're gonna paint them up. We're gonna paint them green and see what they look like. Because maybe that could be another cool little tree arrangement, but rather than leaving them just natural or whitewashed or something, let's go green and gold. Because they're already weird, so how much weirder can I make this? Well, okay, there's potential for me to make them way too weird, but we'll see how it goes. And really, again, I'm just looking around the shop for things, just things, and seeing, okay, how could we turn this into a tree, like a Christmas decor, something, right? And just more to show you that really, you could do this with anything. You can just go looking around your house for weird, oddball kind of things and just think about it from the standpoint of, okay, how tree-like is that? How tree-like can I make it? What can I do to create maybe a Christmas decor piece or a vignette or something? And, you know, just because I thrift different floral pieces and end up with some cast-offs that I think look old and tired and kind of grungy, I tend to hang on to them anyway, because who knows? This is one of the who know moments. So I'm gonna get these painted up. So I'm gonna get them all painted green, and then I'll come back at ya for us to do the next step together, and then we'll see what we can do with them. Now that our green paint is dry, I am looking at wanting to add a little bit of detail to it just by adding some gold wax. So I have Golden Rule by DIY, and I am just going to, let me look for the kind of brush. Okay, you know what? Just a little stencil brush will work. I just want to dip this in and just kind of rub this in. So we're going to get a nice sheen with the gold wax, with the green echoing up, as opposed to, you know, a solid gold color if we painted it. So let me show you. You can still see that green kind of shining through. So this step, we're just really looking, and here's the other thing, by the way, you can take a cloth and you can wipe it back a little bit if you wanted to get just a little bit more of the green showing, or, you know, in the case of these pods, there's a lot of creases and cracks, and it just kind of sinks in there and looks that much more interesting. So I'm just gonna get these guys all finished up, and then we'll look at finishing these little trees off before we move on to the next. For the pot, all I did was I took that same gold wax with my stencil brush, and I just kind of rubbed it around the surface of this little pot. It gives a nice gold shimmer. Along the upper rim, what I'm looking to do is start by attaching this little black and white ribbon. So I'm just going to put a little, I was going to say scooch, a little dab of the glue. The words I make up, you guys must think everybody in Canada talks like this. But no, it's just me making up words. All right, so I'm just gonna glue this around the entire rim. That much will take me there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this red ribbon. Just glue it around the entire outside as well. Okay. And just so that I know as I'm doing this where my front and my back is, I'm going to put together a little bow. And here's the easiest way to do this, guys. So we're just gonna take a little bit of ribbon and I'm just cutting. Oh, these scissors are so bad. I'm looking kind of going, they are not cutting nicely. Okay, let me try these guys. Oh, these are the same ones. All right, that's all I've got. And it gives me an idea of how much of the red, right? I just want to have enough of it to extend beyond. And then I just take a little tiny piece of wire, and this is super thin wire, cuts with scissors. Maybe that's why my scissors don't cut fabric, because I keep cutting other things with them. Just looking in this big mishmash of things as to whether or not I have other scissors hanging out here. Yes, and yes. Okay, options. All right, so all that I do is I roughly take the middle and I just take my ribbon. I just want to get my red centered here. Okay, so just take it back across itself. And I'm just making my bow a little bit smaller because I'm not going to need it that big, and I'll cut off the excess tails. But then I just take my wire in the middle and I just tie it off. So the nice thing about this is that I can use this wire to attach it to something if it was designed that way. I mean, obviously I can't do that on this piece. So in which case, I'm just going to take my awful scissors to cut off the wire. And then I can just pull this however I need. Now, I just needed a little bow for this, so I'm just going to, oh, much nicer edge. Okay. I'm just gonna cut these off. This just makes a sweet, simple little bow when you're just looking to have one on the project, right? And I'm just going to dab that with glue right in the middle, and I'm going to cover over the lip that had all my meet-up joints for this. So you can do, obviously, any kind of ribbon, any kind of color that you want, that you have. I'm going with what I've got. You know, I'm doing this, it's sort of Christmassy, sort of not Christmassy, you know. Who knows? So the next step in this is really just to be able to get these down into place. Now, this has got this black hard stuff on there. So I'm likely going to have to cut through that, poke through it with something. Okay, maybe you can go there. You can take all of that fake gravel. This was from a dollar store, something that I took. Things out of. There we go. Just crack through it like a brulee. You know, when you have a nice creme brulee and you take your spoon. And, okay, now I really want creme brulee. All right, and these guys without a stem, we're just going to hot glue them into place, right out in front. To finish this little guy off, all I'm gonna do is take some Spanish moss and a couple of little berry picks from the dollar store and just zhuzh up that base to cover up that fake gravel, and then it's done. For these next trees, super simple. We just cut a semicircle out of some stiff cardboard and just kind of wind it against itself to make a cone. You're gonna have to flatten out the bottom. Depending upon your cone, you know, it can be approximate. I just stapled mine because I'm gonna cover it with stuff. So it doesn't matter if it sticks out a little bit. If you need to, you can glue it, hold it in place. You could tape it depending upon what you're going to do. I then am taking just a piece of floral foam and I'm just kind of stuffing it down in there so that when I'm finished and I go to add my stem, it has something to attach into. And all I'm using is those same sticks that I got from that big long mat. I don't know if we decided what that was from. It was with all the summer plant stuff, so I'm thinking it's an edging of some kind, but whatever. And I have 2 little wooden discs. Drilled a hole in that was big enough. I'm just gonna stick a little bit of hot glue in, stick my stick in, and let it dry. Your little off center there. And now we've got a nice little stand for a tree form. So for this one, I have just kind of squishing this a little bit. My little foam is making it go into a weird shape. Okay, there we go. All right, so there's my little tree. I have painted this one just a soft blue. I just wanted a background other than the brown. Now, the idea with these is that really you could do anything. You know, when it's at this stage, you could paint it in glue, roll it in glitter, call it a day. You could cover it in ribbon. You could cover it in just about anything. The sky is the limit. For this one, because I'm trying to show you some different looks for Christmas trees. So I've got 2 ideas I want to show you. This one, which is going to be the painful one to do. The reason I did it this soft blue or a light gray is because I have this bag of little feathers from the dollar store. Nobody sneeze. Okay, so this one is going to be a little bit more painful to do because once I start gluing, these feathers are going to want to stick to everything. So I have some of my wood glue I'm putting over here on my mat. If my wood glue is open. Okay, so a little bit for now. I have a stiff brush and I'm going to glue just a little bit at a time because I'm not sure how fast I can work with this. So any tacky glue would work. And then I'm going to glue feathers in place. I may have to, once after this rim, I may have to switch to hot glue because I'm going to be gluing over top of my feathers. But I want to definitely go with the big, long feathers first. And I want to have them hanging down below my tree because this is going to stick up in it. So I want to give the tree a little bit more length. So I am just going to be gluing feathers all the way around, and then I'll do another row and another row until I get up to the top. And I'm saving little tiny ones for the top so that I don't have the long shafts, the pointy shafts sticking up. And again, I would just cut them off anyway, right? So I'm just gonna keep gluing and overlapping, and then I'll come back and show you how to finish this one off. It's easy, it's just a lot of gluing. For my feathers, this is what my little tree looks like. Kind of cool. Now this is maybe at tops half the package of the feathers that I got from the dollar store. So you could easily do 2 of these trees, 1 big tree from that package, no problem. I had debated taking some Spanish moss, not sphagnum, Spanish, making a little bird nest for the top, sticking a little bird. I've decided I like it as it is. So all that's left to be done is to stick a base. Okay, whoops. Now that's all come out. So let me drop a little bit of glue down in there. Stick my stick in there. And then, I think this would be super cute in a vignette. Okay, that's kind of, I'm kind of digging it. All right, next one. We have this other form. Now, what I did was I thrifted for $4 this whole bunch of blooms. Now they're old and they're kind of tired looking. And what I'm thinking, and we'll see, you know, sometimes I have these thoughts and they're not good thoughts. They're not positive. So I'm thinking first, I'm gonna start by cutting off some of these smaller little leaves. And I am going to show you what I did. Oh, I probably should do that with different scissors, which is why none of my scissors work. And I'm just pulling it apart. So, this old center and those are all going in the garbage. But what I wanted were these center flowers. And I am just going to cut them in pieces. So, in essence, quarters. So my thought is this. I'm going to glue some of these leaves around the base. And again, I want them coming down below that base. We've got a lot of length still that we can deal with because of the height of our stick relative to this. So I just want to glue all those leaves around that edge so that I've got a little bit of green contrast in there. Okay. Schmutz. So this is what I was thinking. Okay, actually, if the flower idea doesn't work out, then I'm just doing all green leaves going down there. All right, so what I was thinking is to then take my little arc of flowers and start overlapping them. And have them cascading down. And in essence, I mean, we're just going row by row around this. Okay, when we get to the next row, we're gonna try and just kind of overlap over top of, you know, kind of go in between each of the individual kind of flowers that we've already laid down so that we're creating a thickness, a thicker row. And we are just going to continue to do that as we head up to the top. let's just revisit all of our different trees. The idea of today's video was just to, I think more than anything else, just give you some ideas. If you're looking to switch up your Christmas decor a little bit, you're looking for something that's a little bit different, a little left of center, a little non-traditional, then I wanted to give all of you non-traditional folks a bit of a video too. So one of the first ones that we did was this tree. Now, it's got some traditional elements because it's got the green, it's got the pine cones, a little bit of fir happening, but definitely a different style of tree. We have taking just unusual little pods, cones, I don't even know what these are, and being able to just simply touch them up, stick them in a little bit of wood, and zhuzh them up enough to be able to use in some decor. These are still gonna fit into kind of a traditional look if you want, and I will probably be using them in a future craft, so that works for me. We also took a very traditional item, the pine cone, and we just did it up as well, very simply, but made it the star, made it into a tree in and of itself. And you could easily tie a red ribbon around this, do a little bit of a stamping, say Merry Christmas on it, I mean, whatever you wanted to do. Not everybody does Christmas trees, not everybody does fir trees. And so these little pods just kind of reminded me of cacti, and we did them up with a bit of a Christmas theme. So we've got our red bow, we've got a couple of little red berries tucked in there, but again, a little bit of a different look. And then we go into totally weird. We've got our little conical tree made with feathers, which again, staying with the cone when you go into weird substances or different substances, very non-traditional substances, staying with the cone shape still makes it kind of have a bit of that Christmas feel. I mean, you could certainly use this as a decor item anytime, but staying with that traditional Christmas tree shape keeps it kind of staying in a little bit of the Christmas theme. The final one that we did was taking apart just some kind of daisy kind of flowers that we thrifted. And I had used 3 of these big flowers with this. And we took them apart, added a little bit of greenery. I just added a couple of little small little ribbons hanging down and then just one pearl on the top. And again, I mean, this one almost looks like a fairy, right? It's just kind of the fairy shape. It's got, feels more like wings and the little head, but again, it's kind of staying in that cone shape, so we're still getting a little bit of the Christmas feels from it. So, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different looks, 6 different substances. It's not to say, hey, you got to find these pods. You could use anything to create kind of any of these shapes. These wooden mats, grab sticks from your backyard. They don't have to be all the same dimension. Just cut them to the same length and you're good to go. Inexpensive, but definitely cool and out there, still staying traditional, but creating trees out of something that usually would just be part of a decoration, making it the decoration in and of itself. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your favorite is out of all of them. I have a favorite. Go ahead, guess. But hopefully you found something here that you can take away that you're going to be able to use with some of your Christmas decor, with your booths, whatever it is that you're working on. As always, I appreciate your tuning in. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. And until then, take care.